Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it is that time once again. I'm talking about Superman, baby. The big blockbuster hit of the summer. Or is it Fantastic Four? I don't know. I haven't seen that one yet. I'm actually seeing that one in IMAX too. We're not talking about Fantastic. We're talking about the man in the red undies. We're talking about the man in the tights. Yes, guys. Cat's out of the bag. Am I a Superman fan? No, not necessarily. I like Superman, but I've always been, hey, I mean, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. I like myself some Spider-Man, but look, I gotta support, you know, my fellow, my neighbors across the river. You know what I'm saying? My neighbors across the street. Let's start with the obvious, right? James Gunn's first big film, the big intro to the DCU. Well, actually, that's not true, because technically, if you guys are really paying attention, Creature Commandos over on HBO Max was, I believe that was the first project. But, you know, that is just a TV show, you know, whatever. I mean, do you need to see them in order? Like, do you need to, should I go watch Creature Commandos before Superman? No. I mean, there's like one character, Rick Flag, that is in that show that returns here. But, he, you know, you don't have any moment where he's looking at the screen. He's like, I should remember The Bride of Frankenstein. Remember that? That was pretty crazy. There's no moments like that. So, you know, don't worry about it. But how is the first film in James Gunn's DCU? Guys, it's pretty damn good. I really liked this movie. All right. And I'm not going to lie. I took some joy in how much in my childhood days, you know, when DCEU was flopping, you know, if my buddy was like, hey, you want to go see the new Batman vs. Superman? I'd laugh. I still haven't seen that movie, by the way. Maybe I should at some point. But I watched Man of Steel, and I remember thinking that it was really dumb as a kid, because, you know, the scene that stuck with me the most was the one where the dad's like, no, I'm going to kill myself. and then he gets sucked into the tornado. So I don't know. I always remember that, and I'm like, how stupid. But I did rewatch it recently, and you know, it is a good film. It's a really good film. So I'm not gonna crap on it for the sake of crapping on it, you know. But how is it compared to Man of Steel? Gotta be honest, guys. I enjoyed this more. The emotions hit more. The action, Man of Steel might be better in the action department, but it gets really close with this one. There are some god tier like fighting moves. Like there's this one part where Superman takes this chick and he like turns horizontally and he's doing like a freaking you know, I don't know, some fighting move. I can't reference it, but it's really good. This was a really good film. Let's go into the positives and then we'll talk about the negatives. Just a heads up, I will be getting into a few spoilers. Honestly, there's not really a lot to spoil in this film. There's like 2 things, but if you have been catching up with the news on how the DCU is coming out, it's kind of obvious. Like, you know, let's just get the spoilers out of the way. If you don't want to hear them, skip a minute ahead. Supergirl appears at the end of the movie. She shows up drunk, stumbles into the Fortress of Solitude, calls Superman a bitch. My fiance laughed quite a bit at that. And yeah, no, that's the big reveal, is that, oh shit, here's Supergirl. Oh yeah, and Crypto is her dog. So that's a little iffy. I was kind of hoping that Crypto was going to say Superman's dog. But because I'm pretty sure somewhere Supergirl had like a cat, like not Cosmo, like Zoomy the cat or something, but I guess that doesn't really hit with audiences now. The other big reveal is that Kal-El's original parents, who left a big message for him, part of the message was corrupted when he landed on Earth. So the first part of the message is like, you will do great things for Earth. And then the latter half of the message that was eventually revealed is, you shall do good things for Earth by taking it over. So yeah, that's a pretty big thing. And I don't think that's in any of the comics. I think that is a brand new path they're going. So I think that is pretty, I think it's cool. You know what? I'm going to put my foot down. I think it's cool. Call it an Invincible knockoff. You know, my only worry is that we're going the evil Superman route, where we're going to get those visions where Darkseid's going up to Superman. You're a good boy being evil. I actually teamed up with your parents. I love your parents. We had coffee the other day. You know, I think that'd be stupid. I kind of hope that the whole evil Krypton thing, this is like a one-time reference, because it does create good tension in this movie when it's revealed, like, oh, is Superman going to take over Earth? I think that does lead to some good conversations, but I don't think it needs to be a big old thing. Like, I don't want Superman 2 to be the Kryptonians are invading. Like, that'd be stupid. At that point, it's literally just copying, you know, Invincible, which is copying Dragon Ball, which is probably copying something else I can't think of. But yeah, let's just not do that. But that's kind of it for spoilers, really. The 2 end credit scenes are like nothing. One's a joke that's pretty funny. And the other one is just kind of a really cool desktop wallpaper shot with Superman Krypto on the moon. But anyways, now that we got the spoilers out of the way, now let's get into the positives. Guys, this is the Superman I have been wanting to see. Like I said, I did not grow up with Superman. I'm not going to claim like I'm actually the biggest Superman fan in the world. I have like no DC merch. I played Lego Batman 2. I have this comic, which is pretty cool. But aside from that, not much. But I did watch a little bit of the Superman animated show. And, you know, I see some of that here. I see some of the personality from the very few comics I've read. Guys, I'm a casual dude, all right? So if you want to come at me for not knowing the lore, hey, feel free. I fully accept it. But I don't know. I really liked his personality here. I like the Clark Kent stuff. We do only get a little bit of that. But I thought David Cornsweet was a god tier Superman. I think he did an amazing job. Which gets into my next positive. This is a comic book movie. Dude, guys, if you are the type who watches, like, I don't know, Ben Affleck's Daredevil, and you're like, that's a good movie, then you will hate this film. Because all of those early 2000s movies, aside from, like, the Raimi Spider-Mans, you know, they were all ashamed of it. Like, no, the red suit? You want to put Daredevil in red? What about just a black tactical suit, you know, something like that? Actually, no, I think they did give him a red suit. Anyway, point is, this is very comic booky. It is an incredibly colorful, but not just in the color. It's like, it's the whole world. Every single human being, every single meta-human, everyone is incredibly colorful. The color palette, whoever was in charge of that did an amazing job. Because something as simple as just like a news journalist room is filled with, like, you know, gold and all these different colors, and you get the vibe really quickly. Like, there's this pocket dimension area, and it's filled with like this Minecraft pixel looking lava, and you know, stuff like that. It looks really cool. Yeah, I really like that kind of stuff. Also, dude, oh my word, when it tones down the comic book stuff, which I will say I do kind of wish it did it a little bit more, mostly because the emotional hits, they punch. Oh my word. Like, you know, the parts with Ma and Pa Kent are, dude, they were tugging at my heartstrings. I absolutely love those. Like, there's this one part where Kal-El is just kind of chilling on the front porch, and, you know, Pa comes out, and who's the actor? Okay, Pruitt Taylor Vince. Dude, congratulations. You got me. Maybe I'm just a daddy's boy or something, but when he was looking at him and he was like, I'm proud of you, boy, I was like, yo, please. I love this kind of stuff. And every single character in this film feels so realistic, so fleshed out. like Lois and, you know, Superman's relationship. It's at the beginning of the relationship, so, you know, you got some rough patches. It feels realistic. It feels grounded. It feels like I'm watching an actual couple. I could watch them banter for an hour and a half. I might be confused as to why the movie was called Superman, but I would still enjoy it. Now, that isn't to say some characters don't go over the top. There are definitely a few characters, and unfortunately a main character, that go just a little over the top when it comes to the comic bookiness. But we'll get to that here in a bit. Let's keep it positive. So next up, dude, favorite characters, Guy Gardner as Green Lantern, hilarious. I cannot wait to see more of him in the Lanterns TV show. Very excited for that. And Mr. Terrific, I need a Mr. Terrific movie. I need a Mr. Terrific TV show. I need a video game. This guy was funny, badass. He got, honestly, what might be the best action scene in the movie, which is actually might be a bad thing because it's like that should probably go to Superman. But yeah, it was just incredibly well done. There's this one shot where he's protecting Lois in this little bubble, and then the camera's like kind of panning around the bubble, and you just see Mr. Terrific use these like little orbs, and he's just kind of swinging his arms a little bit, and something so simple ends up coming off so badass. I absolutely love that. And in terms of the action is non-stop. There are very few moments where there is any sort of time to breathe, but I'm fine with that. I'm fine, because the times that I do get to breathe, that we get to slow down a little bit, while it is not often, those are some of the best moments. Like there's that viral clip that went, there's that one viral clip where Clark is like yelling like, people are gonna die. I will say, in context, that is a really great scene. It is done incredibly well. Again, emotions, it hits, it really hits. It feels like an actual argument that these two people are having. And that's the biggest thing I went into this film worried about, is, are we going to focus too much on the laughs? Is this gonna be Thor Love and Thunder, where it's just like, oh, funny goat noise. And there is, you know, some jokes that are like that, but I think they're done well. Like most of the humorous stuff is done via Crypto. And Crypto is a fantastic element of this movie. Like there are like little things. So like, you know, Mr. Terrific's like balls that like float around and you can see through them. You know, Crypto sees them and he starts like attacking them. Yeah, it's just like little, it's funny. I like that kind of stuff. Okay, final two things. The score, it's a bit of, there's one part of it that is a mix of John Williams' original score. The music in this is amazing. Absolutely loved it. Now, obviously it's a James Gunn film. You're gonna have some of those pop songs, you know, early 2000s in this one, mostly during like a lot of the fights. But yeah, as usual, I think a lot of them work. I think they are a great addition, but mostly do. The John Williams score, that is going right in the playlist. Last thing, the thing I was the most skeptical about, what could it be? The humor? The CGI? What could I be the most skeptical about? Air battles, dude. Air battles done well here. I know that's a very random thing to, you know, bitch and moan about, but I can't tell you how many movies, like the first Shazam is a perfect example of this, where you have this air battle where two people are fighting in air, and it just looks like nothing. I'm bored, right? It's just these two like action figures slapping against each other, and then it's like, you know, they go in, whoa, and then they gotta go away, gotta come back in, whoa. I just hate that stuff. But here, it is done so well. Like, there's this one part where the engineer chick is like covering Clark's, Superman's face in like these nanobites, and he like can't breathe. He's, you know, flying up, and Ultraman's punching him, and, you know, then he flips around, does like a dive bomb, and just the impact when especially the Ultraman fights, dude, done so well. But all right, guys, I've been slobbing on the knob too much. Let's get into the negatives, all right? Like I said before, I sort of hinted at it. There are certain characters that are a little too cartoony. And I think what hurts this film the most is Lex Luthor. Unfortunately, dude, I hate to say this, but Lex is just a little too much. Like, there are so many times where he just gets like really emotional. And I understand it's like, okay, well, we have to portray that he has this obsession with Superman. I just feel like there's other ways to do it that aren't like him yelling and screaming and getting in people's faces, because you have that. But then the issue I have with that is you can have that and make it work, sure. But the issue I have is that now we go to the parts where he's attacking Superman. There's the big reveal. Oh, Ultraman is a clone Superman. And that's how they get into the Fortress of Solitude. And basically, he sort of barks orders. So he's like looking through Ultraman's eyes, or just through little balls floating around him. And he's like, A1, B3. And every time he says one of those, you know, A1 is a right hook. Oh, B1, that's a flying laser. You know, it's like, just imagine like it's like a fighting game, except there's no controller. Actually, that would have been a lot cooler if he had like a little game controller, like he's playing a video game, you know? But no, he has a lot of like other people do it for him, which I don't know. Like, I feel like if you're that obsessed with this guy, like I gotta kill him, I wouldn't be satisfied, you know, just being like, okay, well, I shouted A1 a couple times and that was it. You know, I told someone else to suffocate him and then they did it. Like, that's kind of lame, you know? Like, I would want to go out there and do it myself, you know? But maybe that's just me. I don't know. But speaking of that, Lex's minions as well are just a little too much. Like, there's this one guy with like big glasses that looks like Bubbles from the trailer park, whatever. And he's got this like big old mustache and he's like, but Lex, that's a serious. It's like, I love the cartooniness. I really do. But it's like, maybe some of that, we just tone it back a little bit. But my biggest issue is just Lex, because it's like, I need you to be a little bit more grounded. I need him to be smarter, you know, because this is essentially like the evil Tony Stark of this universe. I know, Marvel guy doing the Marvel references. I'm sorry. This is just my perspective. You know, I see him being this whiny baby, and I'm like, you know, they mention at times like, oh yeah, he built this thing to lead to pocket dimensions. And I'm like, that guy? That's the guy that built that? Okay. All right. I just need a little bit more seriousness from him is all. And that kind of goes into another problem. The pacing is just a touch too fast. Guys, all the clips that you've seen online, all the different ones where there is the kaiju clip, there is the Fortress of Solitude clip, all of those are pretty much the whole scene. So like the first scene is him getting knocked into the snow and healing from the yellow sun. And you know, bam, we passed by that. He's Clark Kent. Bam, we passed by that. We got the kaiju. Bam, we passed by that. We got the interview. It just keeps like going and going and going and going because it's trying to get somewhere. And I get that. But there are so many scenes where it's like, I want to stay here for a little bit. Like there are moments in the kaiju fight where he'll save like a little girl. And I was expecting like maybe a little rapport, like, hey, it's going to be all right, you know, something like that. But he kind of just, you know, looks away from her. I get it. It's like, oh, well, he's fighting a kaiju. He doesn't have time to talk. Yeah, but he had time to save a squirrel. Like, you know. Speaking of that, and another thing, so this is definitely a modern day sort of retelling of not the origin story, but just Superman in general. A big thing in this movie is social media. So basically, Lex Luthor goes on talk shows and he's like, Superman's a punk bitch. And then everyone's like, maybe. And then eventually we get the reveal of, you know, Superman's parents saying like, destroy Earth under your rule. Then he does this weird moment where Lex like stands up and walks toward the camera. See, I told you that this would happen. It's just very odd. But the reason I bring this up is Superman just comes off as a little dumb at times, which I get it. You know, he's a younger guy, but he has been in it for like 3 years. And when they bring up social media to him, he almost acts like what is a book of face? What is a Facebook? Like he knows what it is. And he does say like, oh, I try to stay away from that stuff. But I don't know. It just seems very odd how he doesn't understand how it works. There's this one scene, this is the infamous scene that got pretty viral. And yeah, you know, I will say the interview scene where he's yelling, I think that in context works really well. But this scene is a little harder to defend because Superman rushes to Lex Luthor. He's like, "Where's the dog?" And I get it because it's like, dude, guy took your dog. But I don't know. Like, this lady's like in his face recording him having this meltdown, and Superman's like throwing a desk at the window, and it's just like, the guy just, do you not understand how social media works? It's just strange. That's all. That one's a bit more of a nitpick. That's about it for the negatives. I mean, a lot of them are just nitpicks. Overall, this is an incredibly enjoyable film. I love this so much. While it does have its little issues, I think if we tone down the humor just a touch more and we turn up a little bit more of that emotion, I think once we turn up that emotion, turn the cartooniness just down, just not a lot, but it's at like a 9 right now. I put it down to like a 7, right? Either way, guys, I'm going to give this film a super incredibly solid 8 out of 10. I really enjoy this, guys. Please go support this one in the theaters. I'm really excited for a lot of the projects upcoming. We got the Lantern show. We got Supergirl coming out. I don't see that one doing that well. The last theatrical Supergirl film made like $20. So I can't imagine that would do it very well. But there's like a horror Clayface movie coming out. Very excited for that one. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos every week, and I'll be seeing you next time. See ya.